दावित गिरिधारी शिष्य राधा विनोद बिहारी जो की जाय। श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मरन मोहन जो की जाय। नित्यानंद विष्णु विष्णुपार शुतर शित शिष्मार भक्ति वेदांत नारायण गोसाई महाराज श्री गुरुदेव की जाय। नित्यानंद विष्णु विष्णुपार शुतर शित शिष्मार भक्ति वेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जाय। नित्यानंद विष्णु विष्णुपार शुतर शित शिष्मार भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्यानंद विष्णु विष्णुपाद शुतर शुत शिष्मार भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्यानंद विष्णु विष्णुपाद शुतर शुत शिष्मार भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्यानंद विष्णु महाभागवत श्री गोरक्षदास बाबा जी महाराज की जय। नित्यानंद विश्व शुद्ध सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। नित्यानंद विष्णु वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबा जी महाराज की जय। श्री रूपानु गौरिय गुरु वर्ग की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जी गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ शारद गोसाई प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर पार्षद वृंद की जय। नाम जय श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल ब्रज मंडल मथुर वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट विदग्ध गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योगमाय की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरतिषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुत देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वृंदाय तुलसी देवाय प्रियाय केशवास्य च कृष्ण भक्ति प्रददेवी सत्यवताय नमो नमः। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा Sorry, my mind's Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams, Anadi Krishna Prabhu, Champak Mataji, Krishna Mai Didi, and all the other devotees watching on YouTube and Facebook, and the devotees watching in the future, like Shachi Devi and Jayadev Prabhu, and everybody else. So we are reading today from Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Vāmana Gosvāmī Mahārāja. He wrote, I thought we could go through these articles. Today we're going to go through Brahma. Is it Prajāpati Brahmā, Indra, and Virocana? And then there is also, what is it? There's Javala and Satyakama. I love that one, Javala and Satyakama. There is Raghva Muni and King Janashruti. And anyway, there's some like Puranic stories that have a very beautiful story and like very important instruction in it. So I thought we could read those over the next couple of days, just because, why not? Right now, before I started this program, I just got back. The Gaudiya Giti Gutra, all on one file, except for the back matter. We haven't done the back matter, but everything else is all on one file. And so I was very much itching to get to looking through all of that. And but I controlled myself because it's important every day. We have to have some harikatha. And I know if I don't do an online program, I'm not going to read anything devotional. Well, yeah. And so I'm forcing myself to read this article with all of you. And yeah, then I'm going to get onto the songbook, which is very exciting to see it almost completely finished. All right, I'll share my screen and we will begin. Where is the article? It'd be here. So this is Rays of the Harmonist, number 16, Kārtika 2006. Prajāpati Brahmā, Indra, and Virocana by Śrī Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Vāmana Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Make it on single pages. View, single page, continue to scroll. Okay. The Guru of the universe, Prajāpati Brahmā, once said, "The Atma, or soul, is beyond piety and impiety, old age and death. Old age and death, lamentation, hunger and thirst, and acceptance and rejection. Only he who searches for this Atma according to the instructions of the scriptures and the Guru can realize it. Moreover, all the opulence of the world falls at the feet of a person who does so." Ulterior motives. These instructions of Lord Brahma descended through the succession of generations and were heard by the demigods and demons. They began to discuss among themselves. It said, "We will seek out that Atma, having attained which one can master all realms and obtain all desirable things." Indra, the king of the demigods, and Virocana, the king of the demons, approached Lord Brahma to receive knowledge of the soul, Atma Vidya. They did not approach in a mood of friendship for each other, but in a mood of competition for knowledge. They presented themselves before Lord Brahma with sacrificial firewood in their hands. For 32 years, they stayed at the house of their guru, Prajāpati Brahmā, while observing a vow of celibacy, brahmacharya. At the end of that time, Lord Brahma asked them why they had come. They replied, "You once said that for one who knows the Atma, who is beyond piety and impiety, who is ever youthful, who is not subject to death, and whose vows and words always comes to pass, Satya Sankalpa, all the opulence of the universe comes in his possession. We have stayed with you in order to realize that imperishable soul." Lord Brahma told them, "The personality whom great yogis, who are free from the desire to enjoy sense objects, see with their eyes, is that very Atma. He is fearless and an immortal spiritual entity." Unable to understand the meaning of this statement, Indra and Virocana inquired, "O Lord, where in our bodies, as seen reflected in water or a mirror, is the Atma?" Lord Brahma said, "The soul is indeed visible in the whole substance, in the body. Go and look at your Atmas in vessels of water, and then come and tell me whatever you don't understand about them." Oops, one second. When they had both looked at their reflections in the vessels of water, Lord Brahma questioned them, "What did you see?" In response, they said, "O Lord, we saw the complete image of the Atma from the hair on its head to his toenails." Lord Brahma told them, Cut your hair and nails, dress in beautiful clothes and ornaments, and again look at yourselves in the pots of water. When they did so, Brahma asked them, "What did you see?" Indra and Virocana replied, "O powerful one, we saw the reflections of our bodies just as they are, cleaned and decorated with beautiful clothes and ornaments." Brahma understood. They still have not been able to fully grasp the import of my statement. Perhaps in the future, they will fully realize this fundamental truth in their hearts. Thinking like this, he said to Indra and Virocana, "The personality reflected in the water is the Atma. He alone is fearless and imperishable. He is the transcendental Brahma." Improper hearing. After hearing this, Indra and Virocana immediately set out for the residences. As Lord Brahma watched them returning to their homes, he mused, "Without realizing the soul and without being acquainted with it, they are leaving. Anyone who hears this false Atma Tattva from them, be he a demigod or demon, will pursue the wrong path and meet with destruction." The king of the demons, Virocana, who followed the path of materialism, had only understood that the body is the soul. He began to propagate the theory of Dehatmavad, which declares the body itself to be the Atma and bodily comfort as the goal. With a content heart, he came before the demons and instructed them about Atma Tattva, so-called Atma Tattva. Said, "This body is itself the soul. On earth, the body alone shall be worshipped and served. Simply by serving and attending to the body, one achieves both this world and the next." Virocana's abominable theory of Dehatmavad is opposed to the conclusion of the scriptures. As a result of its propagation, people with a demoniac mentality, being subject to such erroneous conceptions, think, a deceased person who is decorated with perfume, garlands, clothes, and ornaments becomes happy in the next world. Proper deliberation. Indra, however, on the way back to heaven, contemplated Lord Brahma's instructions again and again. He thought, is one's bodily reflection, or in other words, the body itself, actually the soul? Thinking that this must be wrong, he returned to Lord Brahma and, with sacrificial firewood in hands, submitted himself before him. Lord Brahma said, "O Indra, after hearing about Atma Tattva, both of you left for your abodes feeling satisfied. With what intention have you returned?" Indra said, "O Lord, the reflection depends on how the body is decorated. If the body is deformed, its reflection will also be deformed. And if the body is destroyed, then the reflected image will also be destroyed. What then will be the value of my knowing the reflection?" Then Lord Brahma said, "The reflection of the body is not the soul. This indeed is the import of my instructions. Since you cannot understand this due to your own inadequate intelligence, you should dwell for another 32 years in the house of the Guru, observing a vow of celibacy." When another 32 years had passed, Lord Brahma instructed him, "The person seen in dreams is the soul. He is free from all sorrow, fearless and immortal. He alone is Brahma." After receiving Lord Brahma's instructions, Indra departed with a contented heart. On his way home, before he reached the other demigods, he began to think, someone, although blind in the waking state, may be able to see in the dreaming state. Therefore, the perception of the body in a dream is never realistic. Consequently, the person seen in dreams, who is harassed by imaginary happiness and distress, can never be the Atma. With this doubt, Indra again approached Lord Brahma, who told him to stay with him as before, observing celibacy for 32 years. When he obeyed this order, Lord Brahma said, "The serene personality that manifests in deep sleep is ever existent and grants fearlessness. He, the soul, and he alone is Brahma." This time also, when Indra was on his way back to heaven, a doubt entered his mind. He thought, "The soul that is revealed in deep sleep is not conscious of who he is, either in his waking or dreaming state. The soul's nature, however, is eternal and indestructible." Becoming qualified to hear. When Indra came to Lord Brahma this time, Lord Brahma told him to stay with him for another 5 years and hear from him. In this way, after Indra had resided with him for 101 years while observing a vow of celibacy, Lord Brahma imparted to him the supreme instruction. He said, "This body is immortal and within the grips of death. In reality, the soul is Shariri, the embodied. The gross body of 5 elements and the subtle body, composed of the minds, intelligence, and false ego, are merely 2 coverings of the Atma. When the soul attains his constitutional position and thus becomes pure, whatever he hears or sees is all blissful. He is the topmost person. Eternally in union with the Supreme Soul, he resides in the spiritual realm, immersed in the bliss of divine play." From the above story, we receive the following teachings. 1. Separate desires are an impediment. If extraneous separate desires, anyabhilash, remain even after a person approaches someone like Lord Brahma, who is the grandfather of the universe and guru of the whole world, he cannot realize the instructions of the Acharya or genuine guru within his heart. So we must not approach the guru with anyabhilash, separate desires. 2. Surrender to Sadhguru is essential. Only those who surrender to the Acharya with a submissive attitude, pranipat, earnest inquisitiveness, pariprashna, and a tendency to serve, seva vritti, are capable of thoroughly grasping the true conception of reality, tattva vastu. A human being who desires to attain knowledge of Bhagavan can only become qualified to receive knowledge of the absolute truth, Bhagavat Tattva, if he offers his very self, with the sacrificial firewood of his Shraddha in hand, to the Acharya, who knows Krishna Tattva and who is conversant with the Vedas. By the mercy of Sri Guru and Sri Bhagavan, the meaning of all the scriptures is realized by one who strictly cultivates one-pointed bhakti for Vishaya Vigraha Sri Bhagavan, who is the object of bhakti, and Ashray Vigraha Sri Gurudev, who is the abode of bhakti. The king of the demigods, Indra, was not impatient, and thus he became acquainted with the factual truth of the soul through proper means of beginning with surrender. Only a disciple who is exclusively surrendered at the lotus feet of Sri Guru can realize Atma Tattva. 3. Realization is a descending process. The jiva can never realize the tattva of Bhagavan and his devotees unless they mercifully impart it to him. He can never do so by the self-ascending empirical process. That's arohavad, right? Gonna depend on my own intelligence, my own ability. I can figure it out myself. I don't need mercy. So that's the self-ascending empirical process. Ishwarer kripalesh hoito jahare sheto ishwar tattva jani bare pare. Only that person upon whom Ishwar bestows just a particle of mercy can realize Ishwara Tattva. Neither argument, nor intellect, nor scholarship are means to achieve the truth. Sri Bhagavan, who is especially affectionate to his devotees, whose Bhakta Vatsal, can only be controlled by an attitude of service. Four, Shastra cannot be self-taught. Those who do not acknowledge any necessity of an instructor in spiritual matters, but who instead harbor the conception that by their own studies of the scriptures they will understand them, or who, on the other hand, hold the dedication of Ekalavya in high esteem, will without a doubt be failures in all regards, material and spiritual. I see lots of times, lots of Hindus will glorify Ekalavya, and like they always show him as the example of an ideal student, because even after learning archery, when was it Dronacharya? Yeah, asked for his thumb, he immediately cut it off and gave it to him. And so then they always see, oh, see, he was even willing to give his thumb, which is essential for archery, right? But the footnote here says, Ekalavya did accept a guru, Dronacharya, but he never directly surrendered to him. Moreover, he secretly learned archery from him so he could kill Dronacharya's most dear disciple, Arjuna. So even though Ekalavya was willing to do whatever his guru told him immediately without thought, even cut off his thumb, which is essential for archery, still he didn't want to, his desire wasn't to understand what was his guru's manobhishta, what is his innermost heart's desire. How can I truly please him in a topmost way? And so actually, he is not an ideal example of a guru. I'm sorry, of a disciple. It's not that we just follow whatever guru tells us, but we have to even go more deep in that to really understand the heart of the guru. Okay, so the scriptures say, Ashraya loya bhaje, tare Krishna nahi tyaje, ar sab more akaran. Krishna never abandons those who perform their worship under guidance. All others die in vain. And this is in the song Thakur Vaishnava Pada. So those who take shelter of the Vaishnavas, especially, Krishna will never abandon that person. Everybody else dies in vain. So those, oh, Hari Bol Nandan Nandan Prabhu, Hare Krishna. So those who wants to know everything, both social and spiritual, by reading the scriptures, are cheated of the Acharya's actual instructions. This is important. Those who want to know everything, both social and spiritual, by reading the scriptures, are cheated of the Acharya's actual instructions. Bereft of the ability to discriminate between real and unreal, they try to comprehend the meaning of the scriptures by their own endeavors, and are most usually misled. These people, unable to accept the meanings of the Shrutis, Smritis, and other Shastras, try to devise a new path to achieve Hari Bhakti, or establish a unique speciality. Thus, they create turmoil in the world. Neglecting the injunctions of the scriptures, they cling to the logic of the more laws, the more flaws, and thus end up rejecting the very fundamental entity. Finally, upon failing to reconcile the apparent contradictions in the scriptures, they do not hesitate to violate the scriptural injunctions that obstruct their sense gratification. These people will never be able to obtain perfection in their practices. It is far beyond their ability to obtain peace and the supreme goal. Therefore, since nothing is perfect other than the words of Sadhu, Shastra, and Guru, Bhagavan himself has said, Know the Acharya to be me. Never disobey the Guru or regard him as an ordinary mortal, because he is the embodiment of all the demigods. Sarva Deva Maya Guru. Whenever there is a lack of direct orders and instructions from the spiritual master, Shastra is one's only authority concerning what should and should not be done. If all duties are performed according to the authority of the scriptures, there is no possibility of committing sins or offenses. It's interesting, though. He says, whenever there's a lack of direct orders and instructions from the spiritual master, then Shastra is one's only authority concerning what one should or should not do. But the disciple gives precedence to the instructions of the spiritual master. Okay, 5. Demons cannot come to the truth. The king of the demons, Virocana, unable to deliberate upon the true meaning of Brahma's teachings, propagated a theory that completely opposed them, and then declared it to be the doctrine of Guru and Shastra. In this way, he implicated his instructor. As a result, many demons became adherents of his conception, and even today, demoniac people accept this theory of Dehatmavad. When most comfort-prone people adopt the path of falsehood and irreligion, they think, this is correct. This is the demoniac mentality. There is an eternal conflict between falsity or irreligion and actual truth, or true religion. One is a dark hell of degradation, and the other is the immaculate sun. The actual truth can never be ascertained by the opinion of the people or by the process of voting. The mentality of self-ruled people and the actual truth are rigidly opposed to each other. The demons who rely on their sense perception are of 2 types, depending on gross and subtle inclinations. Those who have gross intelligence are attached to the gross body. By their so-called welfare work, jivedoya, in the form of serving the perishable gross body, a bag of bone and flesh, they are more or less engaged in tending to a lifeless body. They cannot conceive of performing any activity in this world besides feeding and dressing it. Whatever they do and whatever they possess is centered around their body and those related with it, and their so-called relatives. This class of people are deeply engrossed in fruitive activities and are included among the smartas. The scriptures indicate these people with the words stule pashanti varvara. Uncivilized low-class persons see the gross aspect of everything. Charvaka, a pratyakshadarshi, one who relies on one's direct sense perception of objects, is a supporter of this theory. The second type of demon, one who entertains subtle hankerings, is intent on searching out the undifferentiated Brahma. Such persons are followers of the Advaita doctrine. In other words, they are Mayavadis. They do not directly desire gross sense enjoyment, but are obsessed with indirectly amassing an enjoyment that is in fact thousands of times greater than gross gratification. They themselves want to become Brahma, the supreme entity. By declaring the supreme controller of this world, Bhagavan, to be powerless, they try to fulfill their purpose. Thus, they want to bring everything under their control for personal enjoyment. The Gita has indicated these people. Asatyam apratishtam te jagar ahur anishvaram aparaspara sambhutam kim anyat kama haitukam. Asuras describe the world as unreal, without basis and godless. They say it is the product of sexual union, or that it is self-generated. Not only this, They say that it is the result of selfish desires. That's Śrīmad Bhagavad Gita 16:8. And now here's the last point. These are the last 3 paragraphs of the article. Sincerity is the key. Many have the idea that they can obtain perfection without performing sadhana. If the disciple does not make any advancement in bhajan, even after residing with the Guru for a very long time, then he will become suspicious of the Guru's qualification. He will declare that Sadhguru, who is in fact genuine, has no potency. He does not understand that the obstacles that have arisen in his sadhan bhajan are due to his lack of one-pointed concentration, resulting from his previous desires, his anyabhilash. There is certainly a reason why a magnet placed between 2 pieces of iron attracts one and not the other. In the same way, one disciple advances as a result of the training he has received from a bona fide guru, and the other does not. The reason is that one is a devotee of Bhagavan, free from all selfish desires, and the other is contaminated like rusty iron because he is addicted to gratifying his senses and desirous of extraneous things. One is a servant, and the other is a mere imitator of a servant. Even though both a mango tree and a neem tree grow on the bank of the Ganga and take the same water, the mango tree satisfies everyone with its deliciously sweet fruits, whereas the neem tree bears bitter fruits, thus displaying its inborn ungentle nature. There is no miserliness in Sri Guru and Vaishnav's distribution of mercy. Different results are reaped according to the qualification of the recipients. By taking shelter of the same Guru, one person can become acquainted with Krishna Tattva, whereas another can demolish the conclusions of bhakti. So this is translated from Sri Gaudiya Patrika, Year 7, Issue 5, August 1956. That is our reading for today. Right. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams, everybody. I'll just do a quick Mahamantra and then we'll end for today. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaur Hari Bo. Nitai Gaur Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Gaur Hari Bo. Jai Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai, Shri Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai, Jai Shri Gurudev Ki Jai, Jai Shri Param Gurudev Ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai, Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai, Swapasha Shri Gaur Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopal Gopigan Ki Jai, Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai, Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Jai Nityal Prabhu Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Vāmana Gosvāmī Mahārāja Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shinitai Gaur Premanande Vrindai Tulsi Vai Priyai Keshavacha Krishna Bhakti Prada Devi Sattvatai Namo Namaha Pancha Pakshataru Vishta Kripa Sindhu Bhyai Vacha Patitanam Pavane Bhyo Vaishnave Bhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat Pranams, Anadi Krishna Prabhu, Champak Mataji, Nanda Nandan Prabhu, Deepika Gupta, and on YouTube and Facebook, I see Krishna Mai Didi, Rohini Nandan Prabhu, Rupa Raghunath Prabhu, Patita Pavani Didi, and everybody else. Thank you so much for joining. Also, all the devotees watching in the future, like Shachi Devi and Jai Devi Prabhu, thank you so much for joining. And I'll see you all tomorrow to read I don't know which one we'll read first. Maybe King Janashruti and Raikva Muni, or maybe Javala and Satyakama. I love the Javala Satyakama one. That's like one of my favorites. But we'll see which one. All right. See you all tomorrow. Hari Bol.